I'd like to call upon our respected HOD sir, Sir Tufail Ahmed, to say a few words and introduce our new Dean School of Law, Sir Dr. Sandeep S. Desai. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kiran, and thank you to all distinguished guests and my dear students also. Good morning to all of you. We are very happy to announce all of you that we have Dr. Sandeep Desai sir has joined as our dean, and he will be looking after our department. Sir has an illustrious and distinguished career. We are blessed to have such a highly dignified and qualified person. Sir has served in numerous institutions, leading institutions of this Bangalore city as well, Northern Karnataka, and Sir has proven track record of establishing quoted institutes. There is got expertise and forte in criminal area, constitutional, very down to earth, human, and typical Indian leadership style Sir is having, where very collaborative effort and very kind of like as I said, Indian leadership effort carries the distinguished features. So we are looking forward. All our best wishes are there. Wishes are there with Sir also. We will make every effort to make Sir stay here comfortable, and we are looking forward to have a guidance from Sir. We are honored, Sir, with your presence here, and I request to Sir to kindly, and we need this to say, of course, we are thankful to all the collaborators who are helping our students for the position into the industry. After teaching and all, like that is one area where you people are experts, and we are depending on your noble task. Thank you very much to the Law Essential and all and your entire team. Thank you very much. I request Sir to have few words to say. Kiran, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Over to you, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Uh, I was audible. I just was spoken. Like I had some words. I hope I was audible.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Sandeep sir.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Visible, visible as well as audible?
Yes, sir. You're visible as well as audible.
Right. Thank you, Tufail, sir. I am indeed overwhelmed for having been received in a most cordial way. And I'm really thankful to you and other colleagues for having taken me on board and for praising me, showering, heaping praises on me, which I don't know whether I deserve or not. But I am sure that I will strive every moment relentlessly to live up to the expectations of you all as well as the university management, because we have a task, and that task is to make Presidency University School of Law the best, and I'm sure all of us together could make this happen. And with colleagues like you who are resourceful, enterprising, industrious, enthusiastic, and energetic, and of course the very hard-working bunch of students, most of whom I have to meet yet because it's only 2 days that I have taken charge. But I'm sure the kind of feedback I have received about all the students from my colleagues, well, it goes to prove that the students are bent upon outwitting their teachers. They are trying to match wits with the teachers, and I'm sure that together this combination can take School of Law, Presidency University to the next level. And probably the idea of the very concept of this enterprising nature of both students as well as the teachers can be seen in this very first program that I am attending as Dean School of Law, because it is, as I said, just 2 days that I have joined, and within this short span of time my colleagues have put on my table a lengthy list of programs that they are going to organize in the coming days. And it is, of course, it has started with Professor Akanksha Madanan's initiative of probably the most important part for the students, that is placement, internship and placement. So kudos to you also, ma'am, for this wonderful initiative, and of course Devi Prabha ma'am, who has been coordinating with you. I am really enthused, delighted, and happy to note that such initiatives are being taken day in and day out. And I must mention, of course, Dr. Tufail's leadership here, who prior to my coming over here, I think for the past 1.5 years, has led this great ship towards its logical end. And together, I think with him and all of you, we will definitely take it to its logical end. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and welcoming me on board with this wonderful program, because after all, what is required for a teacher is to see that his students finally outsmart him or her. And it is for us to give that platform to all of them. So with these few words, I am also very thankful to Law Essentials, and especially Mr. Mohammad Farhan, who has joined hands with us with this nascent initiative to see to it that our students get the best opportunities, benefits of most of these, important, vibrant aspects of legal profession. So also let me thank Ms. Jasleen Kau, Mr. Satyadarshi Kunal, and Ms. Monica from Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan Attorneys, Mr. Satyadarshi from Saraf and Partners, of course, Mr. Mohammad Farhan and Jasleen from Law Essentials. I am sure these endeavors will definitely ingrain into our students the essentials that law requires from them. I'm sure they are going to give them the basic, fundamental, but critical aspects of legal profession. With these few words, let me extend a very warm and cordial welcome to all the distinguished speakers and request them to continue to associate with us for a very long time to come. Thank you so much, and over to you, Akanksha Madam and Mr. Kiran Barua. Uh, I think the probably the brightest anchor, brightest speaker for the day today here. His enthusiasm is very visible. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable and encouraging words. Now I would like to pass the floor to Farhan sir to carry forward with the event. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I am Vijeta. I am the CEO of Law Essentials. So today I will be taking you all over the introductory part of it, while the speakers are going to take over the workshop. Good morning, Sir Dr. Sandeep S. Desai. Good morning, Kiran, and good morning, Akansha. All right. I hope I'm visible and audible. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible clearly.
Yeah. Am I visible also?
Not.
All right. Thank you so much. Once again, good morning. Let me reintroduce myself. I am Vijayata Chandana. I am the COO of Law Essentials. And today we have from our side, today's guest speakers are Mr. Satyadarshi Kunal, Ms. Monica Kasturi, Ms. Jasleen Kaur, and Mr. Mohammad Farah. I will take you through the introduction of all of the speakers today and give you a gist of who's going to take what aspect of today's workshop. So here it goes. Mr. Satyadarshi Kunal is a graduate of Hidayatullah National Law University and a lawyer qualified to practice Indian laws within the territories of India. Mr. Kunal has over 9 years of experience in practice of law in India, which includes working with the largest tier 1 law firms of the country, Cyril Amarchand and Mangaldas, LN Partners, and largest private sector bank of India, ICICI Bank Limited. Mr. Kunal is currently a principal associate at Saraf and Partners. He has vast experience of litigation and advising on commercial laws in India and is skilled in laws related to banking and finance, fintech, projects and project finance, debt restructuring, dispute resolution, and corporate. Moving on to Ms. Monica Kasturi. She's a graduate from Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and an experienced litigation associate with demonstrated history of representing clients in indirect tax matters before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, CESTAT Delhi, CESTAT Hyderabad. Ms. Kasturi has also pursued LLM focused in banking, corporate finance, and security law from Jindal Global Law School. She has previously worked as a law clerk cum research assistant to Justice Rohinton F. Nariman. She is currently a principal associate at Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan. Coming to Ms. Jasleen Kaur, a graduate from MS Ramaiah College of Law, Bengaluru. Ms. Kaur is an enthusiastic and a self-motivated professional with a vision to set goals and develop a game plan to achieve them. She has a collected experience in corporate, consumer, and RERA litigation, mentoring various law students, conducting sessions, and advising clients from the real estate industry. Ms. Kaur is currently an associate at Trial-Based Advocates and is also a partner at Smriti Legal LLP. Moving on to Mr. Mohammad Farhan. Mohammad is a passionate legal entrepreneur. He is the founder and CEO of Law Essentials, established in April 2020, and the publisher of Law Essentials Journal. Through the course of his entrepreneurial journey, he has been able to collaborate with several renowned institutions such as Dharmashastra National Law University, St. Joseph's College of Commerce, and St. Joseph's College of Law, and many more. He has also partnered with various NGOs, organizations, and law firms like Association of Democratic Reforms, AK Legal Associates, Institutions Innovation Council, Ministry of HRD, etc. He has moderated more than 100 webinars and hosted several events. He has also been the founding editor in a number of books, including a Handbook of Intellectual Property, Trends 2021. Now, talking about Law Essentials. Law Essentials is an initiative by a group of inquisitive lawyers having a penumbral idea about the application of law in a day-to-day life. They strive to build a platform that can actively bridge the gap between academia and the legal industry. We at Law Essentials aim to mold students to be a law firm and practice ready. For this, we provide facilities like mentorship, internship opportunities and guidance, placements, research, skill development, publications, certificate courses, webinars, and many more. We also run an in-house journal, that is Law Essentials Journal, that bears an ISSN number, which is an international peer-reviewed quadrannual open access online research journal covering various fields of law. The journal focuses on providing knowledge and information on recent developments and issues in the field of law. We at Law Essentials care a lot about nature and follow paperless and eco-friendly means of disseminating and quintessential legal knowledge to the audience. The journal is blessed to have Professor Dr. G.S. Bajpai, Professor and Registered National Law University, Delhi, and Dr. William Nunes, Associate Professor, Gujarat National Law University, as advisors to the editorial board. It is noteworthy that our journal is indexed in 11 reputable databases, which include Hein Online, JGate, and many more. We believe in the originality of ideas, views, and opinions of the authors and stand totally against plagiarism, for according to us, knowledge can never spread its wings in a sky of lies. We welcome you to join this chain of eternal knowledge and wisdom and help create a much better and legally awakened society. Today's workshop is divided into 3 parts. One is Aptitude Preparation Ideas for Placements by Mr. Mohammad Farhan and Ms. Kaur. How to Draft Your CV by Ms. Kasturi. Tips to Crack a Legal Job Interview by Mr. Kunal. With this, the introductory session comes to an end. We request your kind attention to this workshop, as this information is very helpful and important. Hope you all have a fruitful learning experience today. We are open to all your questions and queries and be as interactive as possible and make this workshop interesting. Thank you. Over to you, Farhan and Ms. Kaur.
Thank you so much, Vijayata. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Respected Dr. Sandeep S. Desai, Dean, Faculty of Law, Presidency University. Respected Dr. Tufail Ahmed Sir, HOD of the Presidency University, and Dr. Akanksha Madan. Thank you so much for inviting us for this session. It's a pleasure to be here. I'd like to just share my screen. Please let me know if it's visible. I hope it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Right. Once again, welcome to the Placements workshop organized by Presidency University in collaboration with Law Essentials. Like Vijayata already covered, we would be covering aptitude preparation ideas for your placements, how to draft your CV, and how to crack a legal job interview. So what after graduation? Ms. Kaur, if you want to take it from here.
All right. Thank you so much, Farhan. How much time do we have for this?
Till 10:50.
Okay, fine. So we did visit Presidency the other day, and it is a pleasure to be here on an online call with the students who are, most affected by these kind of things. So, most of the times you will be confused about, oh, what should I do? What do we do? Okay, we're studying law, and then what happens after that? And where do we intern? What do we choose as a career option after that? So that is what we're here for. will be guiding you with various options that you can take and how you can pursue those kind of things. So the first thing that you should be focusing on is, especially if you're planning to pursue a career as a litigation lawyer, you should definitely set out your preparations for the All India Bar exam, which is a very, very simple exam. It's an open book exam, and it comprises of the basic 13 to 14 law subjects, like all the CPC, the CRPC, your contracts, your transfer of property law, and the laws which form the structure of the Indian legal system. So you can glance through the bare acts and you can know which sections fall where, so that once you are in the exam hall, it's easier for you to look into the answers. It's anyway an open book exam. So that is what it is. And the other thing that you should be focusing on is a career in litigation. That's because you are lawyers, you're like, if you don't litigate, then you're like doctors outside the hospital. So of course, that is a vast market as well. But then at least you should start your career strong with litigation, because that gives you a very good fundamental. It tells you the basics of what you're into. Otherwise, you're always at the top and you don't know where the law came from, what are we doing with it, what are the procedures, what solutions to give. So that the other thing that you can do is you can prepare for your judiciary exam. I think Farhan can talk about that. But what I will be telling you is, Farhan, I don't see JAG over here. Where is it?
You can include it, ma'am.
All right, fine. So the other thing which you can look into is the Judge Advocate General exam. So I'm not sure if all of you know, but the Defense Forces in India also take in fresh graduates from law schools. Of course, you have to score a minimum of 56% to be able to write that exam. And then you are taken through a process of 5 days, which is called the Service Selection Board. So you can look at something like that, and that is that does not really have to do anything with your studies in the law school. It's just that for the eligibility, you need 56%, and then everything is about there's something called officer-like qualities, and it includes qualities like self-confidence, teamwork, communication, and the basic your PRs and how much courage do you have and things like that. So the people who are who have studied law for the education background, and to be called as a professional but don't really look forward to pursue a career, can obviously look at those kind of things, because it comes with a lot of prestige. And you're still a lawyer, but you're a lawyer in the defense forces, and that is something which you can look at. The other thing is you can look at working in a corporate office, but again, you can look at it in two ways. You can either work as an in-house counsel, or you can get into corporate litigation. So as an in-house counsel, you don't really do a lot of core work. You basically advise your lawyers in the law firms, and you read upon the basics of what your organization is going through and what affects them on a day-to-day basis legally. But then you go and you become like a briefing counsel sort of a person, and you go to the law firms, you interact with lawyers, you maintain really good collaborations with the senior designated counsels also, as well as the lawyers at the junior level, so that you can engage them at different levels when as and when your organization needs it. And if you are you're into corporate litigation, then you get into the real estate practice. You know that there are tribunals nowadays. There's the National Company Law Tribunal, and the company laws amended in 2013. And now there is of course there are still some proceedings in the High Court, but yes, you focus on the your practice areas become company law and IBC. So then judiciary preparation, I think you must be aware. Say if you want to, Farhan, you want to take up that?
No, ma'am, you can cover it.
Okay, fine. So immediately after you graduate, you can write your judiciary exam, and if you're looking at becoming a district judge or a magistrate, you need 3 or 5 years of experience after you get enrolled. So that way, yes, you can look at it, but more than the career options, I would say that you should really look at the kind of life that you will be living after you get into that, because that is what is more important. It's easy to sometimes, you can work hard for 6 months or a year and you can clear your exams, or you can get into the organization that you're looking to get into, but then the work, you should really know the work culture in those places. And like, for example, I know people who've not written the judiciary because they don't, they don't see themselves fitting into that atmosphere, because then come a lot of restrictions on your social life and the way you can interact with people, the kind of people you can interact with, so those kind of things. And similarly, when you take up a career in litigation, there is no Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's 24/7. You're a lawyer and your client can call you anytime and you have to be at their service. So more than looking at the fancier side of it, you should know what are the pros and cons of getting into whatever you choose, and that is how you should take a decision. Yes, Farhan.
Moving further, we'd now like to look at a different kind of a profession. Let's look into something of an LLM program. Most people pursue LLM programs when they're looking forward to becoming an assistant professor. Maybe on the long run, they look forward to become deans, registrars, vice chancellors, etc. One most important thing about LLM programs, of course, there are different types of LLM programs. There are some popular LLM programs, there are other niche LLM programs. Let's say popular ones like corporate law, constitutional law, tax law, criminal law, arbitration, IP laws, information technology. Other niche programs like trade law, competition law, mining laws, international law, air and space law, media and entertainment law, and sports laws. It is very important that if you are entering into this understanding that I would like to pursue an LLM, the first question which must come into your mind is, am I doing an Indian LLM or am I doing a foreign LLM? If you want to do a foreign LLM, the process in which you're going to go about it is very different from as to how you'll go about it for an Indian LLM. If you're targeting a foreign LLM, you will be required to get into their technicalities. Every foreign university has its own understanding, has its own selection processes. So you will have to understand it in different processes. Let us take an example of the air and space law, which is included in the other niche LLM programs. Air and space law is offered by Leiden University as one of the most prominent courses in that spectrum. Moving further, I would like to look at internships. There are a number of people who do internships even after graduation. There are a lot of law firms, let's say a few foreign law firms, if you can take Hammurabi and Solomon Partners, offer internships only to advocates who are registered. They take in advocates for a period of 6 months, after which they can be appointed in their firm. Joining as trainees is also something on the similar lines, but it all depends on your interests. Fellowship programs. If you may have heard about Daksha fellowships by Law for Aid and Welfare, etc. It will involve you to get into several aspects of your research and different policy ideas, etc. You can also take up a few short-term courses to gain experience. You can pursue, advanced diploma programs, postgraduate diploma programs, etc., in order to build your CV for the right career path which you're trying to take up. Policy making centers. A number of initiatives have been launched by several centers of the government, several other centers by law firms which are into policy making. They help the government in analyzing what laws are good, what laws need to be changed. Let's say they take up statistics of what is actually happening in the real world. They compare it with what must have actually been the ideal situation in the right scenario, and they come out with some recommendations as to what can be done in this scenario to get it to the ideal form which was expected when the framing of laws was done. If you want to add anything there, ma'am.
Okay, can we switch to how do they prepare themselves? Hello, Farhan, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Micah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. All right. Now, can you please go to the previous slide? So, no, the first one. The one which says internships and yes, that one. All right. So you have now you know that okay, you have I think Farhan and I would have spoken about 20 things, but there are another 30 which we can have we can tell you in another interaction. But there's so many like as a law student, as a lawyer, you do not need to worry about what kind of things you can take up. There's the scope is just vast, it's huge. But what do you need to do? Like you can just with the competitive world that we are in right now and the number of law schools that exist, the number of people who are taking up law as a profession, and the not just 5 years, you'll be surprised that there are a lot of professionals who drop out after spending some time in another career and then they take up the 3 year BLLB. So with that, what do you need to do? You need to have an edge over the others to be able to survive and to be able to perform as a professional. So why it's different? Like you're not an engineer that you go to some organization and say that I have these things and I can perform like um, another engineer, and so please take me in. As a professional, you need to really build yourself up because you make your own name and you make your own fame with the kind of work that you do. So if you just study the books and you write your exams and maybe do a few moot courts and debates, I think that may not be sufficient, and now you need to start looking at the internships that you do, and not just any or every internship. You need to already know by the time you're in the third year, you should know that okay, I will be taking up litigation or I will be doing this. So you should focus on, let's say you want to get into corporate litigation. So you should know, okay, fine. So these are the lawyers in Bangalore or these are the lawyers in Bombay who are very, very good at it. And that is where I can learn. You should apply for internships, get to know the associates over there or through some of your contacts, or now we are there. So somehow you should approach us and say that, hey, I want to intern in that organization. Can you help me with that? So you should be at the top of the game and you should be responsible for your own success, right? You cannot just sit for all the 5 years and think, oh, one day when I come back, come out of the law school, everything is going to be hunky dory. So you should put in that extra effort every day. And what you can also do is you can join as trainees, which means that, most of the times your internships are very, very limited to a month or 2 months. When you go to trainees into law firms or into organization, you should be able to continue your apprenticeship or whatever you want to call it for more than 6 months at least. You should intern with the same organization, and it's definitely a good idea to, once you're in the third or fourth year and you know that this is what you're going to take up. Let's say you want to take up taxation practice. So in Bangalore, we have NDS. So intern with NDS for the whole year after your college in the fifth year or after your college in the fourth and fifth year. So that will automatically give you an edge over everyone else. And the organization also gets a chance to assess you better, to engage with you better, and vice versa. So I don't see like any reason why when you intern with an organization for 6 months or a year and you do well, they don't take you in, because the organization need good people and you will be able to make your place in those places, when you're there for a longer time. Okay, Farhan, you can talk about fellowships and short-term courses.
Fellowships and short-term courses, I think I've already covered. Let us move on to the required skill sets,
Farhan,
which you may.
sorry to cut you in. Could
Yeah,
you please go back to the LLM program? I just have a few things to share.
please.
Yeah, all right. Like Farhan has already told, he listed out a few LLM programs that are very popular in India and a few LLM programs that are pursued most of the time in foreign countries. So when it comes to LLM in India, there is CLAT that you can write for postgraduate course. And there is also other private universities that offer LLM where you can apply through their university and they will select you according to their procedures that they follow. But it is always suggestible that you aim to the bigger university, write CLAT, appear for CLAT exam and then give your CLAT. And that also adds on to your experience into attempting a particular examination while you're also applying for universities that are private. So that is about how you do it in India. You need to have the minimum qualification, have a minimum percentage or a CGPA that is required to be able to get accepted if you're looking for LLM in a private university, but otherwise, I think you're good to go. But coming to foreign LLMs, here is a very tricky thing. So when you're going to a foreign LLM, a lot of things come first. First thing is you have to write a separate English test that is called IELTS or TOEFL. Now to appear, you have to, each of these have a 2-year validity of your results. So if you can write them now, you can probably go next year, because I'm sure a lot of applications must have closed now, but a few will always be open for February intake. They have different time slots for taking students from international level and their home country as well. So it is very important that you go through their website very particularly and list out all their uh, uh, look at the listings that they have given. Accordingly you follow. One more thing that you also have to put into your priority is you submit your statement of purpose. So here, while you're going to LLMs in other countries, other than them looking at your merit scores, they also give importance to your statement of purpose. So that is going to decide how passionate you are about taking up an LLM in their university, and also decide it's like a deciding card that they use to select you as a candidate at their university, because they obviously want the candidates that can work better than someone else. So like Jasleen ma'am has said, you always have to be on the top of your game, meaning you always have to work for it. These LLMs that are listed here are basically, you probably won't have the best of them at every university, but each of that, like Farhan has mentioned already, that air and space law and international law are very good at Leiden University in Netherlands. So every LLM that you're trying to go abroad and pursue is special in one university, although the university may not be grand, but their course is actually grand. So you have to do a very good research on what you want to pursue, where your interest lies, and then go ahead, because one thing is, going abroad is a task in itself, but two, you don't want to fail when you're going there. So you have to assess yourself better, know what your interests are, where your interest lies, how you can perform, where you probably lack in and improve, and a lot of things that you have to take into consideration when you're stepping out. And for this, you also have to be very uh, since you already have another year, probably start writing a lot of papers, get them published, make yourself gain experience in the areas that you're interested in, so that they in your statement of purpose can see that you're actually interested in the course that you're opting for. So we can probably have another session on exclusively on how you can pursue such LLM. But for now, these are the small tips that you can keep in mind while you're wanting to pursue an LLM abroad. That's all, Farhan. Over to you.
Thanks, Vijata. Required skill sets. Jasleen, ma'am, do you want to take over?
All right. So, hi everyone again, and I just got to know, that most of the people who are here are into their 4th or 5th years. So, something which you should be doing is a lot of interaction with the organizations. Like, already start applying left, right, center to the internships. And if you are, because the other day we visited your college and we kind of thought that it's a little too far from the city. So if you can ask for online internships or request the organizations to help you with giving you assignments and things like that, so that you're able to manage it with your college and you're able to reduce your travel time, etc. So the other thing is, which we don't have it on the presentation, but you can also look at writing your UPSC exams or PSC exams, and get into the executive. If like I said some time back, just because you've done law does not mean that, you have to become a Supreme Court judge and the Chief Justice of India, and you have to become a litigation lawyer. Of course, that is the way to go. But if you feel that, hey, I'm happy with the kind of education that I've gained, and I would like to do something else with this, having that background and then building upon into another thing, you can always look at writing your government exams, the bank exams, and you should start preparing for them right away. And I see no reason if you prepare from right now, why you would not be able to clear it 6, 7, 8 months down the line or maximum in a year? Because all the exams have a set pattern. They are like your college exams or your university exams. You just need to understand the pattern of the exam and you need to prepare in that direction and you will be able to crack it. The other thing which I would want to suggest to all of you is to start reading newspapers. Be on the top of your game when it comes to the current affairs and what are the happenings and events in India and around the world. At least know the top news nationally and internationally every day, because you are a lawyer and it looks good when you know about things and you're able to talk about the bills that are being passed, the new laws that are coming in, and that will help you interact with not just your colleagues better, but also with your clients when you get into that. The other thing is okay, communication. Yes, all of you know that eloquence is the most important thing, because when you are in a court of law and you're making your submissions before the judge, you need to be very, very, very specific. You need to know from where are you talking, what are you talking, and when communication not just includes your pronunciations and um, the kind of vocabulary you have, but also the authorities and the knowledge that you have while you're talking something. Even when you're interacting with the client, you should be able to catch the point. You should be able to catch, yes, this is what my client is looking for, or this is the solution which I can offer. So for that, your reading skills are very important, because let's say somebody is coming and talking to you about a consumer dispute and you're absolutely clueless about what the Consumer Protection Act talks about, then I don't know what advice we will be able to render at that point in time. So it's important that you are very, very aware about the Bear Acts. And we were speaking about AIB. So once you start going through Bear Acts from your for your AIB preparation, you will be able to get a hang of which act to go to and which authority to go to when you're in a given situation. The other thing is your research. It becomes very important. Just reading the Bear Act may not be of a lot of help. Let's say some Section 18 of the IBC or Section 151 of the CPC or 482 of the CRPC. You should know how is the law evolving, because at one point, let's say, the inherent powers of the court or of in a criminal court, it's only so much, but then there is a judgment. Or let's say on the property, the succession, you should know that, oh, does the girl get a right now, or does the daughter still have a right after getting married? So for all of those things, you should continuously read the newspaper and you should continuously update yourself with the latest Supreme Court judgments. Or if you're into arbitration, you should know that, oh, what is the new law when it comes to the seat of arbitration, or can the courts in a different city have jurisdiction when the seat of arbitration is in a different city, or whatever. So for those things, you should be on the top of your research. You should know the position of law. Practicality is something which will come only with the interaction with the present market, and for that you should just not read, but you should also try to understand what is the consequence of whatever you're reading, and when it comes into implementation, what is the consequence of that. If you're advising some client something, or if you're making your submissions in a moot court, you should know that, okay, fine, so if this is the argument, this is going to be the consequence of that. So that way you should be able to relate things on the ground also. Then we have experiencing law firms and courts and arbitration centers. So that comes with your internship. And if you have not done many internships, then I would say as fifth years, please just stick to that one organization and intern there for a long time, unless and until you have a family background in law and you have some support coming in from your family, or you're going to start practicing with somebody known. I think it's very, very important to make a mark in the market, and that can happen only by visiting courts more often and interacting with the lawyers who are practicing now and making good connects with them, so that and showing them that yes, you will be of some assistance in their organization or in their practice, and you will be able to not just grow individually but also help that organization grow. And then of course we have drafting, negotiation. So drafting is is something that will definitely come with practice. You will not be able to learn it just like that while you are in your college. So that will happen. And then we have negotiation, market networking, and socializing. All right. So there's something in my mind, but Farhana, I'll just talk about it later. I had thought about something. You carry on. I'll pitch in between somewhere.
All right. Moving further, I would like to go back to the communication part. I think it's very important to understand that different trial courts of different states have their own languages. Let's say you want to practice, in the district courts of Karnataka. It is very important that you should at least have that understanding that I am able to converse in Kannada. It's an added advantage if you're able to read documents, because 40% of the court documents, everything will be in Kannada, because it is in that nature. So I'd suggest that wherever you wish to practice, either if you have not already picked up the language which you're trying to focus on, or the district where you're trying to practice, you must pick up that language at a very quick pace. Start looking for centers which can help you learn the language, help you analyze documents with respect to the language, etc. Research shall be about the organization and the practice area. So about the organization is, you will have to specifically understand where your interest area lies. Let's say I'm very interested in the area of intellectual property. I would like to practice intellectual property in Bangalore. I will look up at all the law firms which are leading with respect to intellectual property in Bangalore. I pull out Banana IP, some centers from National Law School, Bangalore, etc. And you will have to thoroughly research as to what these firms are actually into, what you must prepare yourself in order to be right in line with what they're expecting an associate to do, after before which you apply, right? Networking and socializing is very important, because only when you make that network and when you socialize, with the legal fraternity, you will be able to make your mark. Like already Justine ma'am spoke, you will be able to make your mark. You will be able to get the right kind of a job which you're looking for in the market, maybe either by references or maybe just getting a PPO, etc. One more very important thing which I feel and understand, that it's very necessary that you must have clarity of what you're trying to do. Lack of clarity is an enemy of success. You will have to have 100% clarity, if at least 90%, if not all, as to what you are trying to do. Let's say at this point of time, you don't know what you want to get into after completing your LLB. Keep in mind that, let me start off by practicing at the district courts. Let's say in Bangalore itself, you will go to the city civil court. You will enroll yourself as a junior advocate or an associate in a law firm, and try and understand from there as to, is this my interest area? Only then also you will be able to get 100% clarity. Adaptability is about you adapting very quickly to the law firm culture. So I think a lot of law firms, a lot of advocates talk about this law firm culture. What do you think a law firm culture is? So you will have to, every day the law firm has to deal with different kinds of cases. Let's say we have King and Partridge at Bangalore, at Lavelle Road. They have a corporate team, tax team, civil litigation, etc. So whenever a new associate is enrolled with them, they allow that associate to pitch in ideas, pitch into every team of theirs, in order for that associate to understand which set of practice areas is that associate preferring, which set is interesting that associate, and he's trying to get into that. So it is very important that you adapt to the kind of thing you want to do. You can also be very clear with the law firm, and I think transparency is one more important skill set you will have to have here. That I would like to, after a period of maybe, let's say, 6 months, you will go to the partner and say, sir, I'm very much interested in the tax team itself. Let me work full time in the tax team. Let me learn much more about just tax, rather than keeping me in the varied interest areas which are existing in the law firm. So moving further, sometimes you may be able to get recommended from somebody, because I read one statistics the other day which says a law firm receives about 70 to 80,000 applications during the summer internship, and close to 20 to 30,000 applications during the winter internships. So if you take into consideration that they are opening at least 1,000 of these mails, how do you think they are selecting the students which they want them to intern? They just have 30 vacancies out of these, 30,000, 50,000, whatever apply. So you will have to kind of be on the top. And one more important thing as to how law firms actually select CVs is they do a keyword search. Let's say a law firm uses the keyword legal research or maybe drafting. If they search drafting in that internship mail which they have, they will find only the CVs which have mentioned drafting at least at some point in the CV or anywhere in the mail as such. So it is very important. Your keywords matter in the CV which you are adding. Moving further, how to get recommended is again important because about of these 30 vacancies which are there, most of these are filled by recommendations from partners, recommendations from various senior associate level personals in the law firm. So to be recommended, it is not necessary that your father is recommending you by way of his friends or any other, maybe your uncle is a politician or anything of that. So that is really not the right approach. The right approach here is you may write related articles as to what a partner is interested in. LinkedIn is a very nice platform if you want to interact with very good personnel. They are very responsive as to what I have seen. So write articles in which the practice area you want to get into, put it on LinkedIn. Obviously, it has to be very relevant to the present scenario which is there. You should attend common events, or maybe you can even just organize an event just to pitch this idea to the law firm associate or partner that why don't you come along, have a session with us. And this is how you build your connect. After a point, you can be like, sir, I'm really interested in the practice area which your firm is offering. I'm really interested to have an internship under you. Can you please help me achieve it? Have a look at my CV. Let me know if I'm a right candidate for your law firm. So at no point will any senior associate or a partner say no after you have established a very prominent mark, or you have given a very good understanding that you can enable them to do something. You may be able to contribute a lot to their law firm. You can also connect with a few professors. Let's say a lot of professors from the Jindal Global Law School or maybe Symbiosis offer research assistantship programs. So you will have to research assistant under them for maybe about 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It depends on the professors as to what kind of research they want. So you can try and after you have completed your research assistantship, you can be like, sir, can you please help me? Recommend me to a law firm. This is my practice area. As you have already seen the kind of work I have done. You will be able to understand my situation better and help me get into a law firm. If you want to add in there anything, Justine, ma'am.
One thing which I wanted to say, I'm just, this is the last thing, Farhan, I'd be logging off after this. So
Sure.
please don't restrict yourself from interacting with all kinds of organizations. Please don't look at just the tier 1 law firms or the tier 1 corporates. Please interact with all kinds of organizations because, like I said, you're a professional and you're not looking at becoming a good employee of an organization, but you're looking at grooming yourself and stepping into the market and making that mark, which means that you can do it even as an independent lawyer, and that's the beauty of the profession. So please make good use of it. And let's say in a very, very newly established law firm, or if one of your let's say some senior or somebody from your family or somebody from your family friends is a very good lawyer and you just want to get a hang of the profession from there, and you're confident that okay, after this I'm going to take it forward, and there are so many people who've done that, who've gone independent right after 6 months or 7 months, and they're doing beautifully well. So if you want to do something like that, please don't just focus on the market and focus on, when you're in an organization, see, okay, fine, this person is running a law firm, or this person is practicing independently, or this person has built his own let's say some paralegal organization. Okay, so what are these qualities which I can have? And if no, I don't want to practice under somebody for all the time, or look at all the designated senior counsels and the justices in the state where you're at, or in the Supreme Court, and try to read about them. And let's say if you are focusing at something of that sort, try to just know what these qualities are, and please go independent in your mind already and then take it forward like that. So that's what I wanted to say, Farhan. I'll just log off. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure to have you as a part of this session. Moving further, so how to get a PPO? So once that partner has recommended you or that senior associate has recommended you, you must understand as to how you can get your PPO, and this is can be done during the course of your internship as well. So you must be very competent. So PPOs are also offered with internships. Assessment internships are one of a kind. So you must be very competent to accomplish the kind of work which you're given. A lot of times law firms actually do not offer you any work. You are supposed to go to the associates. You're supposed to go to the senior associates partner, ask for work. Let's say on a day you have no work allotted, just go to them. Sir, is there any work? Sir, can I accompany you to the court? So these kind of questions are very important to understand as a part of law firm culture, which an intern must follow. You must be familiar of the kind of work that may come up in the practice area. So let's say you have to get into the real estate litigation. You must be very understanding, or you must have knowledge of what is behind the law, or you must be able to interpret between the lines. Let's say civil litigation. You must have a complete understanding of the code of civil procedure in order to practice. So you have to have familiarity with the kind of the laws you are trying to deal with. Take up work constantly after accomplishing one task. So like I told you, just go and ask for work. So the system, can I please have another work? If that person does not give you, you can approach the other senior associates. There are other associates in the law firm, etc. It's very important also to build a good rapport with other associates. This is for the main reason that they prefer to work with people who they are able to gel with, right? If they get a very good hang of being with you, they understand the kind of work you're doing, they understand your knowledge, they will obviously take you in and prefer you over any other candidate who may have applied for the same position. Read multiple sources to accomplish a given task. So when you get a task, during an assessment internship opportunities, get into different sources. Let's say you go into SEC Online, Manupatra, you may even go to JSTOR, HIN Online. So look at multiple sources. Do not stick to just one topic or anything of that sort. Right. From here, I'd suggest you have a plan of action. Let's one more. This can be very similar to the research design, which you talk about in your research methodology. Revisiting the laws you would like to practice. So if you want to practice, in the area of, let's say, mergers and acquisitions, you will have to get into the understanding that I have to go through all the laws which are related to mergers and acquisitions. Let's say corporate law also has, a big part to play in the mergers and acquisitions. So you will have to familiarize yourself with the corporate laws, laws existing in the M&A sphere, etc. Reading judgments on a daily basis. From here, I think you may have about 3 months to pass out. So I suggest that you start reading judgments on a daily basis. It's very preferable, that you read a judgment in full from the start to the end, and start inculcating this habit, because a lot of firms prefer such a kind of an attitude, and it's very important when you are dealing with a case that you read the full case. Apart from that, there are some other judgment summaries. This is one of our advisors, Mr. Tariq Khan, who's a registrar of International Arbitration Center. He summarizes important judgments. You can take, if you're interested in arbitration, like he has put out, several landmark judgments, 50, 40. Let's say you take up 3 or 4 in a day, try and understand them, try and analyze what's happening in this case, and go ahead, make notes, and you can go ahead in such a scenario. Start preparing for your bar exam. AIB already mentioned throughout the course of this session. Write short articles and send them for publication. This becomes very important in the kind of area you're trying to practice. Let's assume you're interested in corporate law. If you are trying to prepare or build a CV in corporate law, start writing a few articles, send them to different kind of websites, get them published, and add them onto your CV. And one more very important thing, which must be done in a CV is you must tailor-made the CV according to the kind of internship or a placement you are trying to achieve. If in this scenario, like I mentioned, if you're trying to achieve an internship in the area of a corporate law, you will have to include at least 2 or 3 corporate law blogs which you have written. So create such kind of blogs in the area of interest which you have, in the area where you're trying to apply, and tailor-made the series according to the kind of applications you are making and to which law firm. And every law firm has its own understanding of how to take it. Then you can also look at national and international conferences and seminars. I think a lot of them you can find on several other websites like Live Law, Law Octopus, etc. You can find very soon in upcoming national and international conferences. Start writing some papers for them. Look at what loopholes in law exist and present your papers. Presentation of papers can be, a place a little higher than just writing short articles and getting published in a let's say a blog or a journal. So I'd suggest you can, appear at least maybe from here, keep a target of one national conference every month. So you can have 3 national conferences to add on onto your CV. Competitions, a lot of competitions are around the corner. You can look up at a few article writing competitions, debate competitions, and judgment writing competitions. I think a number of them are being offered by law internships, etc. Attend 1 or 2 internships, preferably in a trial court. I suggest the trial court because that is where you should start your practice from. That is where you will understand how the court system works before going to the high court level, etc. Start networking, again the same repeated point. Presentability of the CV has already been covered. Right. Moving on, I would also suggest you to take very short-term courses. So take up some courses, and this courses, your only objective must not be to achieve the certificate which is being offered at the end of this courses, because I see a lot of law students these days are just taking up courses, registering courses, maybe just copy pasting the assignments from Google. I think that's not the right kind of approach. So there are platforms like EDX, Coursera, and Swayam, which Swayam is the Indian version of EDX, I'd say. So which offer you courses and they just charge you for the certificate. Even if you get the knowledge and you don't need the certificate, that's more than enough. Try inculcating some certificate courses. You can just write it on your CV. You don't have to write that the certificate is not received, etc. You can enroll in a few diploma courses which are being offered by, I think one of them is being offered by my sister institution, Law for Aid and Welfare. So maybe diploma programs, there are a few other fellowship programs which you can take up at this point of time. And if Vijeta does not have anything to cover, Vijeta, you have anything to add on?
Not really. I think most of it has been covered.
All right. Now, thank you so much. And I think we come to the end of session 1 for today. If you have any questions, feel free to put it across.
Yes.
Students, do you have any questions? Anyone?
It could be any kind of question, honestly, with the kind of presentation we gave. If you have any doubt at any stage of it, please feel free to ask.
I think no questions as such. Everything was very well explained. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we'll just wait for 2 minutes and then we can start off with the next session.
Yes.
Right, I think we can start with the second part of this session. I'd like to invite Ms. Monica Kasturi, who is the Principal Associate at Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan Attorneys. Thank you so much for joining here today with us, ma'am. Ms. Monica Kasturi is a graduate from Symbiosis Law School, Pune. She's an experienced litigation associate with demonstrated history of representing clients in indirect matters before the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Says at Delhi, Ms. Kasturi also pursued LLM focused in banking, corporate finance, and securities law from Jindal Global Law School. She has previously worked as a law clerk cum research assistant at the Office of Justice R.F. Nariman. She is currently a principal associate at Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan Associates. Thank you so much for joining here with us for this session, ma'am. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Farhan. Hi everyone. I hope I'm visible and audible clearly to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, first of all, for Law Essentials to be organizing this kind of a seminar, because these kind of workshops have been always necessary for law students to be able to reach out to professionals, connect with them, and understand what the legal professions actually requires from these students, right? So to all the students that have gathered here, first of all, welcome, good morning. And before I start, I just want to get a quick overview of which year students am I addressing right now, so that I can speak to the students in that light.
All are final year students, ma'am. They're going to pass out in about 3 months, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then guys, then all the very best. I do understand what the kind of pressure the 5th year students do face in general. So don't worry. And also, I'm just going to be starting out with basics, and please feel free if you have specific questions about CV drafting, so that you can at any time pitch in. You can raise your hands. I will keep the chat box also open. So please feel free. OK. Yeah, to begin with, I'm sure because you guys are already in the 5th year, by now you must have had some sort of experience at in writing CVs, right? So before I get your comments, I just want to, a lot of people might already be aware of it, but I just want to quickly go through the basics with you. So first and foremost, the basic part is that no grammatical errors. Okay, that is the first and foremost part that I would want to tell you. A lot of people say that this is to be looked into the end, but I'm going to tell you that from the time you start thinking about drafting something, if you require multiple stages of helps from your seniors in vetting it, please go ahead, but ensure that there are no grammatical mistakes, there are no spelling errors, you're not making any sort of false claims or exaggerated claims of any sort. That's rule number 1. And coming to the second point that I would want to tell you guys is keep it colorless. Okay. If you want to go for specific colors or something, go for something like blue or gray, which is somewhere into the background, because you might have seen CVs from engineering students or some other students from design and art. They might have very flourishing CVs, but so on a daily basis, so actually during my college time also I was heading the placement cell at Symbiosis Law School, and also subsequently today as part of my everyday work I get a lot of internship applications. And it is really because given the kind of seriousness with which law firms work and the legal professionals work in general, it is going to be really putting off if you have colored formats or really bold fonts, right? We really like to stick to the basics. And yeah, now, so these are the first 2 riders. Just I wanted to quickly speak with you about. One was ensuring the language, spell check, grammar check, and getting it vetted multiple times if you have any doubts. That's number 1. And number 2 is keeping the format, layout, and fonts, colors, everything very professional, very simple. Number 3, because you are 5th year students, I would urge all of you to get, if possible, get a picture clicked in formal attire, and please do attach that onto your left hand side or the right hand side of the copies of the CV copies. I'm sure nowadays most of the copies that you send out to recruiters are soft copies of CVs. So please try and get a picture. So picture is not mandatory, I would say, for internship applications. If you're sending out internship applications in your 4th and 5th year, I say it's not mandatory. But if you're really looking forward for a job and for a placement and you want to reach out to people, it's always better to put a face to it, because what I get otherwise is just one plain black and white paper. But the moment I have a professional picture attached to it, so there's a human element that comes in. Okay, it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be anything. Just your college blazer, just your, if you have a regular white shirt and black blazer, that kind of a picture. And now you can just ask your friends to click good pictures for you. You know, you don't even have to get it done from a professional or a studio or anything like that. But if possible, do just get this done, because the recruiters, whoever is seeing your CV, will always need to have that sort of a personal connect. And because, okay, so that's one thing. I'm sure you guys are understanding the importance of that. So it's fine. Feel free to omit it if you find it difficult. But if you're able to arrange for it, please do ensure it is there. Okay. Then moving ahead, in cases, so in few colleges, what I have seen is they already have some certain set formats for sending out CVs. If your college also does have certain fixed format, then do stick to it. But however, most law firms say they prefer two-page CVs. So let me just give you a more practical perspective on this, how it works. So if you're applying to top tier law firms, they prefer only two-page CVs. But if you're reaching out to local councils, or you're reaching out to other offices, you're reaching out to companies, and especially because you're a 5th year student right now, and this is your first real job experience that you're going to be applying for. So always keep in mind that it's okay if it exceeds 2 pages and it goes to 3 or 4 pages, but as long as you're giving them relevant stuff. Because what happens, I'll tell you, when if, for example, once you are already into a job and then from there on you're switching jobs, sticking to a 2-page CV is the best thing you can do, because you're then judged on just your work experience. But when you're coming out of law school, you will be judged on a lot of things. You'll be judged on what kind of leadership roles have you done, what kind of academic activities have you done, what kind of extracurricular activities have you done, what about your research, publications, conferences, do you have exposure of mooting? There are so many factors that come into picture, and sometimes it may become difficult to accommodate all of this stuff. Okay, so my point here, just to summarize, is if you're applying to a top tier law firm and they have, let's say, very strict procedures on the page limit or the word limit, only then restrict yourself. If you're applying to companies or other local councils or other law firms, boutique law firms, smaller law firms who do not have very stringent criteria for your CVs, then please feel free to include all the stuff. Okay. Now, also, I just wanted to add one more point, because legal CV writing is not just for jobs. A lot of you might be wanting to pursue academics later on. You might want to go abroad for a LLM. You might want to apply to other colleges for LLM. So in that case, always remember that if you're applying, if you're writing your CV for the purposes of LLM, okay, then always make sure you add other facets of your life. For example, you're good at singing, you're a professional dancer, you are trained in a particular sport, you play an instrument well, or you have contributed to the society, or you're extremely, let's say, connected about the cause for dogs or other animals or the environment. If you have causes with which you relate, if you're writing an academic CV and if you want to send it out to people abroad, then this is always necessary. In fact, if you don't have one, I would go to the extent of saying that if you're applying for LLM abroad and for that you want to write your CV, then always make sure that you create some interests of yours, because they are rated really high. Okay. Of course, on the other hand, if you're applying for a job in India with a council or with a law firm or with a company, these things might not have that much importance. but still do have one small part of, you can say, somewhere in the CV where you can include uh, stuff relating to what all you can do, what all you can't do, etc. Okay, I hope everyone is being able to follow me, and so far so clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you. So moving ahead, so these are the, I would want to say, the broad pointers that you should always keep in mind while drafting. Now coming to the specifics. So let me start with what all specifics you must include. First is an objective statement. Okay, so you're going to, of course, I mean, I'm not obviously saying the as necessary things, like you of course need to have your name, your contact number, your email ID, and these days if you have a LinkedIn profile, and if you have an active LinkedIn profile, please do give an URL for that also. Okay, you can just copy from your LinkedIn account. Of course, that depends. Are you active on LinkedIn? If you're not active on LinkedIn, then don't put it there, okay, because it's going to be such a put off. Or if people of all you students, because I see, so back when I graduated was 5 years ago, 6 years ago actually. So back then LinkedIn was not this active, but in the over the last 3 years, 4 years, especially since Corona, because a lot of virtual events have been happening, a lot of virtual certifications you get. So all of this is recorded on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn itself today acts as your CV, because everyone today is recording their events on LinkedIn. It sort of adds to your digital presence in general. So if you are that kind of a person who has, let's say, has a very active LinkedIn profile, or also has written a lot of articles online, things like these, if you have a very good virtual presence, if I have to summarize it, if that's the case, then also go ahead and add links, add your home, add the link to your LinkedIn homepage. Okay, so that is something you can do. And it's also actually good because I'll just give you a personal perspective. You can get, see, the thing is, you can learn about a lot of basics online also, but what I want to really tell you is the personal perspective that I do when I look at a lot of CVs. Is the moment I see that the person has given a LinkedIn page, I would rather than it may be the same content. Okay, he might have summarized the same content that's already there on his LinkedIn page, but I would be more likely to go open the LinkedIn page, because LinkedIn is more colorful, it's attractive, there's a lot of events happening, I can see who all you are connected with, I can see what kind of activity you undertake on LinkedIn, what are your interests, what kind of a personality you have, what kind of, thoughts you share with other people from the field, and how do you collaborate with other fields. So these are, so more than a CV, I find that the LinkedIn profile gives me a much more exposure into a candidate's thought process, right? So the moment if I find that there's a LinkedIn link, and I enter and I use the link, I go through the profile, I find, and there are more chances of me liking the person or giving that person an interview chance by looking at the LinkedIn profiles. So yes, if you already have an active LinkedIn profile, please do provide link in your CV. Now, yeah, so along with your name, email ID, phone number, your LinkedIn profile ID, and as I said, photo if you do have, and if you're applying for job, I would urge all of you to take your friends' help, and you can help each other out. Or if you already have a college uh, portfolio, you can just use the same photo. Okay, so these are all the basic things that are going to be there on the CV. Now, coming to the objective, yeah, this is what I would want to spend a couple of more minutes to emphasize. First of all, always given some sort of an objective statement. Okay, now the objective statement should not be very generic. Number one, it shouldn't be, I'm telling you what it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be something as generic as I'm a very hardworking, I'm a dedicated student, I want to work with you. That's not the kind of opening lines I would want to see. You can make it more specific. For example, you can talk about how you have undertaken a specific diploma somewhere, or you have undertaken an earlier internship with the same place, how you are interested in that subject, or let's say if you're writing to a specific partner or if you're reaching out to a specific person in the firm or a specific lawyer under which you want to work, make that statement a little more personalized. You can say that, so you say that you introduce yourself in that, so you don't, so the basic thing is you have only 3 to 4 lines where you can write. So you have to try and be as crisp as possible, but also give them what is it that you really like and why is it that I should read your CV. You can, for example, if you're applying to a local council, you have seen him argue something, you can always start with it, saying that I have seen you here, I really like this thing, and say what you like, write the specifics of it. Or you can say that I have been following your book, if the person has written a book, or if the person has written articles, or if you have seen his name in a lot of orders in the court and you're applying to him, or in general you're applying to a firm and you have heard good things about the firm, you have seen their website, there is something about the website that you really like. So start with things that are positive, and everyone will take a little more interest. See, if let's say I have 20 CVs and there is one CV which is actually writing about me and saying why they want to intern under me or why they would want to work with my firm, and they're asking me for a recommendation, and for that they're sending their CV. So what will get my attention is this aspect that is going to get my attention. And so you just write, so you try and create, or for example, if you're applying on a cold calling basis, what is cold calling basis is when you don't know the specific firm you're writing to, or you don't know the person or anything, but you're just writing a general CV. Then make it a lot more about you. Then you can say, write about your strength, or if you had, or let's say the whatever is your most greatest achievement. For example, if academics is your achievement, focus on that. You say you're a topper, a gold medalist, a hardworking. Again, don't use random words like hardworking, but whatever is your recognition, you have been a recipient of some award. Start with that and say that. And so first start with either the person whom you're talking about or about yourself. Then you talk about the subject interest, and then you also talk about what kind of a future you're seeing with them. Let's say if you want a place where you are learning a lot, or you want a place where you are giving the opportunities to individually handle matters. So the objective statement should also make it clear that over the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years with that person or with that firm, what kind of an image that you are carrying. That is very important for the person to see. For example, you have, let's say, had a very good litigation internships, and so you now want to go join a lawyer. In that case, always say that, I would want to learn from you, and don't just say I want to learn from you, because learn from you is very generic. What exactly you want to learn? I want to be able to, learn drafting such petitions, for example, if you're before the High Court, or you can say I am deeply interested in environmental law, and in the future I want to be an independent counsel fighting for causes of environment, for which having learning the basics of the High Court practice is very important. So I would want to join your chamber and learn the basics in drafting and pleading, some kind of a story, so that, see this, so what will happen, I would really want you guys to understand the kind of image that you have to create in the person reading your CV. So with the photo, I introduced a human element into the CV. After the photo is over, I have seen at the LinkedIn profile. So in my head, I have created a picture, a mental model of the person whom I'm about to interview, or the person who I would like to be shortlisting. So that adds a lot of personalized element. That really brings in that personalized, uh, feature to your otherwise black and white CV. Now, after getting all of this, that is when I'm reading your objective. After these two things, I'm reading the objective. Reading the objective gives me a further insight into your thoughts. I got to know, for example, in the example I just gave you, I got to know about your environmental law preference. I have seen that you want to go independent in a couple of years. So, I'm getting a picture, I get to see what kind of thoughts you have. So for example, let me talk about my own case. So I had done moots in law school when I was in law school, which gave me a lot of interest in tax law. So based on that, I did a tax internship. So when I applied to these people, I highlighted these facts in the opening objective statement. And I said that, see, I have, and my aim there was to convince people, see, I'm not applying to you randomly. I have spent enough time during my law school in this subject, and I know I like this subject, and I know I'm interested in this subject. And I have also worked with you earlier, so I know that I'm very comfortable with your practices and very good, and I can excel at your workplace because I know your work culture. I know the kind of expectations you have from employees. So once I have been able to convince the person reading this that yes, I'm interested in the subject, I'm also interested in your company, I have already worked there, I have good understanding in such areas. So then they're more likely to go further down and see, acha, okay, is he or she a suitable candidate to me? So the first things that I'm actually really doing is to just make the person reading the CV know a lot more about me. Okay, so that they know what kind of a person I am, what kind of preferences I have, and what is my aim. Okay, so the objective part, so till the objective part, this is what it becomes important. Now, after this is done, you go further and mention your because now you are fifth year students, because if you are so you have to of course write your academic interests. If you have specializations, mention your specialization, mention your marks. I would personally say that there is no real need to write semester wise marks. You can just give your final CGPA as on ninth semester. So just mention CGPA as on eighth semester, as on ninth semester, like that. Okay, if you have undertaken diploma courses, certifications, like for example Farhan in the previous session was mentioning about Coursera, Swayam. I really like that, and I would really encourage students, all the students, to go to Coursera. Please do. So I'm not sure how many of you are actually aware, but if your subject interests are topics like arbitration, tax, commercial dispute resolution, and technology law today is widely, that's growing, that's really growing. IPR, or cyber law, competition law. If your areas of interest is any of this, there is a lot of literature that is available online from international journals, right? But journals can be really time consuming, and sometimes the students find it really boring. They might not be able to understand what is happening. So the best alternative is to go for these MOOCs, MOOC, which are the open online courses, which are free. And they are all conducted by universities like Leiden, Harvard, Oxford. They all have their professors creating courses, free courses, from which you can learn the basics of, let's say, commercial litigation, basics of, you know, uh, anything, name it, and you have it there. So yeah, it's of course not possible to learn subjects like CPC from such places, but if you're interested in corporate laws, for all sorts of corporate laws, you have different courses. So please, just as Farhan was mentioning, please do go to Coursera, go to Swayam, please. So Swayam is the Indian substitute for Coursera, so you can go there. Then, Harvard edX is also providing courses. There are some basic courses for lawyers there. So please do that. Okay. So even if you do not, let's say, pay for the certificate and have a certificate, but if you're able to get completion, just the fact that you have completed it and put it as a screenshot, so you can add that also as a certification. And that will have trust me, it will have a really positive impact on your recruiters, because you can always say that, see, during my college phase, I did not have the time to do this, or because of Corona, we didn't get to intern. But you can always say that, see, I had lost some opportunities because of whatever reasons. We all have reasons, X, Y, Z, whatever could be the reasons because of which I could not do something. But I have done something else. But because I would see, like like, for example, you applied, you are interested in competition law, for example, you have applied for a competition law internship, but you didn't get it, for example. Now, when you're going for a job, instead of saying, so I've really tried, but I didn't get it, what you can say is, I have tried to get, and I've tried to get earlier internship opportunities in competition, but unfortunately I couldn't. But I have ensured that I took free classes and updated myself on this subject. And if you have actually taken exams in certain things, you can also mention that I got a course credit or a grade, I got an A grade or B grade, or sometimes in these online courses you have grades. So also please mention that, because today just getting college degree is not sufficient. It has to be supplemented with a lot of other exposure, which is either the practical exposure through internships, moods, or the academic um, supplements like writing papers, attending conferences, taking courses, getting certifications. So all of that also has to be kept in mind. And if you guys haven't done any of these, please go ahead and do them. Okay, so that it gives you, because to write something in your CV, it's also important for you to pursue activities in that regard, so that you can add all of it and put that together onto your into your CV basically. Okay. And now again, moving ahead, we will so yeah, so I think I've come till the part where you're talking about the academics. After that, please, if you've done your moods, please mention the mood name. Please mention, if for example, if you have done only 1 or 2 moods, then you can add it as extracurricular activities. But if you are someone who has mooted a lot in college, like I was someone who did like 10 moods in 10 semesters, so I used to have a separate section in the CV itself, separately calling for mooting achievements. In case if that's not the case, if you have 1 or 2 mooting experiences, then don't create a separate section for it. But you can just then and there make sure that you're putting them. And the next part is research and publications. Please always be sure that whatever is your mooting history, whatever is your research and publications, the recruiter's eyes will always go there. We are always looking and trying to find out what have you done there. So please ensure that that's written. After that, you should also be highlighting chronologically all of the internships that you have undertaken. Okay, so the format that I really like is where you take you just say one, write whatever you have done in the internship. For example, legal intern at dash, and the dash can be a company name, or it can be a firm name, or or if there is chambers, for example, A&J Law Chambers or something, write that, and also write comma and the place. So for example, the heading should be, for example, you start from your last internship. So the recent internship will be number 1. So under the section of internships, you write number 1, legal intern at A&J Chambers, comma, Bombay, comma, Bangalore, so that the location is very clear. And within brackets, you also mention the duration. Start, let's say September to October 2020 or whatever. Okay, so the date, the duration, that is also very important. So what has happened, the moment I looked at the internships part, I see that the recent most internship is here in this city for this duration. So all of this detail is just coming the moment I see at the heading. Number 1, legal intern at dash chambers in this place, and within brackets I have the dates or the period. Don't give the exact dates, just say which month. August 2020, something like that, or 2021, whatever it is. And after that, against just below that, you write in 2 or 3 bullet points, what have you done? What have you done? We do not ever put client names. Don't say I have done this and this for so and so client, but always include the topic names. if you have conducted research on due diligence, or you have gone through all the documents and you have summarized a due diligence report, or you have attended court proceedings. So write attended court proceedings in the Karnataka High Court, or before so and so High Court, or before the District Court of Dash. So if it's a court related internship, specifically mention that. And if you were part of, let's say, any batch matters, and you are whoever is the lawyer under which you have worked, if there are big matters in which you feel you can, you know, write the name, this let's, because the thing is, sometimes client names can be confidential, but sometimes if the judgments are already released and they're in the public domain, then probably people might not have problems too with it. So in such cases, you should also mention, for example, such judgments. For example, if there is a famous case that has happened during your internship time and you have worked with your senior on that, then you do mention that you have provided assistance, and you can say provided briefing assistance, provided research assistance, provided drafting, if you have done drafting assistance in dash, in the famous dash case, dash matter. So if it's already so famous, then you can also write about it. And further on, if you have done any NGO internships, or if you have worked with public policy places where you have done extensive research, always do mention that. Okay, it might not be relevant to the corporate job, but just the fact that you have had extensive public policy or extensive some sort of a contribution you have made on other levels, that also plays a role when the recruiters are looking at the CV. So please do ensure that you add those things as well. And in the end, always make sure you're putting the date on which you're making it, so that I know that this is the achieve. Because sometimes what happens, you send me the CV now, but I end up looking at your CV 2 months later also. So I need to know, as on what date is all of this happening? Okay, when is it that you have sent me? As on what date is it? So always make sure you have the date written at the bottommost, and always put your signature at the end. So if you have a copy of the digital signature, you just keep it for once and for all, and every time you can affix it on the onto the last page of your CV, and you can send it out. If for example, if you're giving out a physical copy, then you physically sign the thing, and then you post it or you scan it. Anything, any of that sort can also be done. Or if you're unable to do any of it and you have lack of time, then below the date, you just put your name once again, just to testify that, all of this is true and that you are the one making such a claim. And once all of this is done, as I started, always proof check, always spell check, and always send it in the PDF formats. And while sending your CV in the PDF format, also always ensure that you have renamed the CV to your whatever is your name. Put that name, put underscore CV, underscore your batch of 2022, batch of 2023. And if depending on who you're applying to, your college name, all of these things can also be added. But necessarily you should always have your name in the CV, because when I see multiple CVs, I'm downloading multiple CVs, so I don't want to keep changing the CV name. You can't send something generic like CV so and so. Okay, so CV something dash dash. So put your name, then you put underscore, then you put CV. Okay, I hope this is clear. And any doubts? Does anyone have any questions? We can quickly take them and close this session.
Actually, ma'am, there are two questions from the students
Yes.
related to the CV. The first question was, ma'am, if a student completes their graduation, I mean the bachelor degree,
Yeah.
and they come up to the LLM, which looks better, ma'am, if they do after their LLB degree, if they do a internship for a work experience, then get into the LLM, or if they directly pursue the LLM and then get into jobs. So which looks much better on the CV? This was one of the questions from the students.
Yes. So for this, so this question has been, I think, around the corners for a very long time. And there are actually very clear-cut evidence-based results on this question. Number one, if you're doing a LLM from India, then it really doesn't matter because you can directly straight away go from your 5th year of college and pursue a LLM. There is not much of a conflict that occurs there. But if you're going for an LLM abroad, it is always suggested that you get some sort of an experience in India and then pursue your further academic inclinations, whatever they are. This is for two reasons. Number one, once you're abroad, even then you can, in most of the cases, your Indian law firm in India or the employers in India, if you have had good experience with them, if you have worked for them for a year or for a year or 2 years, and they have a good relationship with you, they always keep a place open for you in India. So it's always nice to know that after you pursue your LLM abroad, which can be financially quite taxing, you always come back and you have a backup plan in India. That's number one. That's primarily one reason. The second reason is that even while you are pursuing your LLM abroad, you might have to take up part-time jobs or internships abroad. So when again applying abroad, for example, you want to become a summer associate at a law firm somewhere, and if you have internship experience or long-term internship experience or some sort of a paralegal experience also in India, that will always count as additional experience while taking up jobs or internships abroad. So if instead of going as an absolute fresher, my suggestion will always be get some sort of a exposure in India. That will also give you a breather time in terms of what kind of aims and aspirations you have. You will have better clarity on what you really want also to do. So that will give you that breather space, and and the moment you come back, if you have good relationship with your past employer, they will also give you the leeway to come back and rejoin them, which is great because in terms of finance, because sometimes it can get financially very taxing doing an LLM abroad, and that's going to give you that cushion to come back.
Thank you. Ma'am, I had one question of my own.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Ma'am, when we submit a CV to any companies or any corporate legal firms, which are top in the country, usually students prefer whichever is top in the country to
Correct.
apply for the internships. So, ma'am,
Correct.
should we keep our CV crisp and very summarized form, or should we give a detailed form of it? Because they do and receive thousands of applicants of
Correct.
students. So should we keep it crisp and short, or should we give an elaborate form of it?
So that's what, if you are all, if my personal experience says that if you are especially a 5th year student, then do not unnecessarily cut down stuff, because that's the only way through your CV I'm going to know about your overall personality. But if you're shifting from one job to the other, then always cut down the CV to very short points. For example, if you have a campus drive where your company is coming to the campus, they want to know more about you. So unless they specifically say, so sometimes there are specific instructions that do not exceed over 2 pages, then of course you have no option, then don't exceed. But as a 5th year student, this is going to be your one opportunity to showcase all the hard work that you have actually put into your law school. So you might have so much to talk about. So as a 5th year student, especially for 5th year students, I would say don't unnecessarily cut down. If there is no specific instruction from the law firm to cut it down to under 2 pages, don't cut it down. Just put your best foot forward. But then if you have already worked at a space, like it's already been 1 or 2 years post graduation, then don't unnecessarily keep adding details. Oh, back then I did a move. Don't add all that details. So then you can cut it down into just 1 or 2 pages.
Yes, thank you.
I think if there are no further questions, we can come to the end of this session too. Kiran, I think we can conclude.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a small request for the third session. Can we keep a small window open for questioning, because there are some questions that are interconnected with 2 of the sessions. So we'll keep it at the last. So if it's not
Sure. I think Monica, ma'am, are you available to be till the end of the session?
Okay,
if I'm not asking too much.
Okay, no problem. I'll be.
All right. Perfect, ma'am. So now we have with us Mr. Satyadarshi Kunal. He is a principal associate at Seraphin Partners. Thank you so much for joining here with us today, sir. He's a graduate from the Hidayatullah National Law University, Raipur, and a qualified lawyer to practice laws within the territories of India. Mr. Kunal has over 9 years of experience in the practice of law in India, which includes working with Tier 1 firms like Mr. Mangaldas, Luthra and Luthra Partners, and the largest private sector bank, ICICI Bank Limited. Mr. Kunal is currently a principal associate at Seraphin Partners. He has wide experience in litigation and advising on commercial laws in India and is skilled in laws relating to banking and finance, fintech projects and project finance, debt restructuring, dispute resolution, and co. So I welcome you to this session 3, sir, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Farhan. Just one thing, total experience I have is of 11 years. I think you're reading from my LinkedIn profile. That's not
Yes,
quite
sir.
anyway. Now, before I start, can we do one thing? Can we, I mean, if possible for people and whoever can you switch on your videos? I mean, if it's not inconvenient, I understand that people must have joined from home and all. It's fine. I mean, for me, it's fine. Okay, so I'll start this session by citing some examples from my own journey in last 11 years as to how this actually went ahead and what kind of confusion I had when I was a student and what I have learned from my own experiences. And then we can talk about the things which we are required to do in our resumes or in a job interview or whatever. I mean, for career development and all those things. So when I was in law school, I always wanted to be a litigator. I never had any inclination towards corporate law and all. So my resume had zero moods, zero, I mean, one or two paper presentation, that too because of the reason that one of the subject matter which I liked a lot, I just wanted to do something in that. So one presentation in that subject and one article perhaps, or perhaps I don't even remember, to be honest, because I have stopped writing it after first year of my graduation. And after that, two internships, both of them litigation internships. That's it. My CV did not had much to talk about. I wasn't a topper. Forget about being a topper. I was perhaps, 40th or 42nd ranker in my batch. And the batch was a 48 student, just to be frank. So the CV was overtly poor. Not much, but one good thing which I did in my law school that I pursued my interest. For example, I liked intellectual property rights a lot. Reading about it, like not scoring for the paper, but just reading, understanding what is developing in the country. And I started reading the judgments. Like if there is a judgment pronounced today, I would know it by tomorrow at least. Okay. So that made me delve into a lot of other laws as well. Like, for example, law of contract, which was very basic to any commercial law. And it is very basic to any commercial law. I got a fair understanding of that. I got a fair understanding of constitution. I would not say that I know constitution, nobody can perhaps, but I kind of got a fair understanding of constitution. I got a fair understanding of Companies Act. So that way, one interest pursued, I had several knowledge in place. After that, I started with a litigation office. I was there for 2 years. I mean, not even 2 years, 1.5 years to be precise, earning 10 times lesser amount than my peers in my batch were earning at that point in time because most of them were in corporate jobs, in law firms or in a big corporate house or something of that sort. So started with that, was in the litigation for good 4 years. Then somehow I had to make a move and a second phase came in my life when I actually wanted to decide that whether to go in a company or in a law firm. And then I started applying. Then I went to ICICI Bank and I was there very briefly for 6 months or so. And then I joined a non-banking financial company, which was INFS Financial Services. Then there was another doom which came, that was like ILNF's fall started. So at that point in time, I again had this career thing that how to shape it up further. And all these times, there were certain things which were told to me during the time when I was student or when I was practicing that once. For example, when I was wanting to make a career in litigation, I was told that once you start in litigation, you may not be able to land in a corporate job. So make up your mind to stay and then only you'll be able to do so. I figured out that's not completely correct when I joined ICICI after litigation. Then I was again told that when you are in a company, perhaps you will not be able to go to a law firm, and that too in a commercial practice. You may be tested again as an associate in a litigation a backdrop, but not in a commercial practice. For example, no corporate team or no banking and finance team, project finance team kind of thing. So after ILNFS, I landed to Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, perhaps one of the best in the country. And I was working with the project finance team. And then definitely, I mean, I made a move to LNL Partners, which is Luthra. And then after Luthra split, I am now with Saraf and Partners. So this is my journey so far. So why I wanted to talk about it first is that when we are in law school, we learn about a lot of myths. First being that I need to gain an expertise. You're not expected to be an expert when you are in a law school. For example, when I often get calls from the students that I have deep inclination in corporate law, how do I land into a corporate job? I have a deep inclination in data privacy, IPR, and I want to pursue my career in that thing only. So that is something like you're not expected to build a kind of expertise. If your interest, you have to ask this question time and again, whether my interest lies in this subject matter or not. Whatever it is, I mean, your interest area may be maybe the law of contract. It may not be a very specialized subject, but a basic subject which can be used for any other law. You will have a kind of understanding if you pursue the law of contract. You will have a basic understanding of how legal system works in our country, and that is what is expected from you. Correct? That is the first expectation you build. So before don't decide your this thing career goal basis your interest area basis your career goal. Just because you want to land in a corporate setup, don't decide that I have to pursue corporate laws, I have to know about the companies act. Decide about your interest area first and then pursue your job. For example, when I was in college, as I pointed out, I had deep inclination towards IPR. Okay. And that was my interest area. I had no plan to do anything about it in my career, to be honest. I had to join litigation. Any stream of law for litigation would do. When I joined litigation, I learned that during the first few years, you have to learn all the aspects. You are not a specialized criminal lawyer or a civil lawyer or a commercial lawyer for that matter. Okay. So I joined an office which had IPR litigation as well, apart from other litigations. And after pursuing it for 6 months, I realized that the subject, which sounded very interesting in my law school, was actually boring for me. I mean, it was interesting for other people in the market, but I did not like it pursuing as a career. So that happens. Okay, so the thing here is that I got my job basis my interest areas, and then I realized that the interest area was only helpful in building your knowledge about a lot of other subject matters. Okay, so decide your interest area basis what you actually like, not on the basis of the fact that you're going to land in a job. Okay, so I'll give you another example in this fashion. I have been interviewing a lot of people of late, and I get a CV with a lot of moods and a lot of this thing corporate conferences and things like that. It's impressive when you have an interest area. It's definitely impressive. If you have done moods, it's good to have in your CV. But what lacked there was the basic understanding. For example, I would often start with basic questions whenever I'm interacting with a student, as basic as that, give me essentials of the contract, and then we delve into other things to judge that how the candidate is. Okay. So, while asking these questions, we realize that the candidate is not even good enough in the basics of contract. So when you are going into getting into a commercial transaction, that's the knowledge you are required to have from law school, not the expertise in a subject matter. That expertise you will build up when you are in the profession. So focus more on that, and that will really help you in career. And that has helped me, despite having a having an overtly poor resume. I could, get in a job, whatever job I wanted, I could get into it because my fundamentals were clear. I had good understanding of the basic subject matters. Plus, I had an interest area which I actually pursued well. So that's the thing. When you are in a law school, that's the expectation from you. Once you earn some kind of experience in your career, then the expectation gets changed. Then you are supposed to have expertise. Then you are supposed to know about a particular subject matter, but not during this stage. So that is one. Second thing, it's always important to analyze that where do we stand as a student. Okay, for example, if say for example, I was in HNLU and during that point in time when I graduated, HNLU was not a very big name. It was just an upcoming national law university. So we did not have good campus placements. We did not have good internship opportunities. It started coming in, but not during our time. I mean, we could make it slightly better during our time, but it wasn't that good at all. So if I am standing in that situation and I'm wanting to have a job in hand, so I have to first assess that, okay, fine, I should not be choosy in the first place. That, okay, fine, I need a job in a corporate law firm, in a corporate practice, or something similar to that so that I can earn well. So I will design my resume like that only. I will not accept an internship from a litigation firm, or I will not, I mean, intern with a firm which is not a tier one or tier two. That should not be the expectation, because tier one and tier two is anyway not coming to my university. I mean, they will come, take one or two. What about other 48 students who are there in the batch? Okay. So if you are lucky, if you are among those two, you will get it. But the chances of you getting in there is really low, if that be the campus placement ratio. Plus, in internships also, there were favorites. NLS, Nalsar, for that matter, NLU Jodhpur, NUJS Kolkata, all these were favorites. Okay. So you will not even get an opportunity, even if you get an internship through your sources or something, they might not consider you for job, because there's an established relationship with a lot of other universities, and you're trying to build up that relationship with a particular law firm. If that is not built up, then the job chances are low. So again, uh, basically trying your career options basis what you want to do, okay, is not very much advisable if the situation is such that you can't afford to be choosy. Okay, so this is the basic thing which I wanted to start with. Now I'll come to the fact that how to score a job when you're in your final year, or you are in your fourth year. Basically, that's the time when actually law firms or any litigation office starts looking at you as a probable candidate. Correct? Not prior to that. So it's very important when we know that, okay, fine, campus placement will take up, say, 5% or 6% of the students in my college. I may be lucky enough to get into that 5% or 6%, but the most of the reliability lies on the fact that I should perform well in my internship. Okay, now here's the key. How do you perform well? So in my third year, when I was in third year, I had my first job offer. That was from a senior counsel. And again, I wasn't in my college, I wasn't very good in academics. But when I joined the office, I was very serious about the internship, because that's the place where you not only carry your own expectation, but you also carry the name of the college you belong to. Okay. One opportunity lost may be an opportunity lost for you. But unfortunately, we Indians are, I mean, very much versatile, making a kind of what do you say, a conception that, okay, fine, students from this college is not good, or students from this college is very good. So you carry that burden. Don't ever forget that. That conception is something which you build. The relationship which your university is going to build in future is basis the work which you are going to do in that office. Okay. So I never used to be very casual in my internships. So I'll just narrate the story of one of the incidents which eventually made me get my first job in my, no, it was not even third year. It was my fifth, not fifth semester, fourth semester, end of the fourth semester, when I was going to enter a kind of fifth semester. So I joined the senior counsel's office. There were 5 different interns working with me, or perhaps 6 different interns. I don't remember the number, but there were many. So the senior counsel, definitely he's a busy man. He would hardly have time for his own juniors. Forget about the interns. Okay, there's this briefing starting as early as 8:30 in the morning. Then he will be on his leg in Supreme Court and Delhi High Court. and then again the client conferences and things like that, and then he will go home. So there are chances that when you're working in a senior counsel's office, you will not be even noticed during your entire internship period. So my goal was, okay, fine, I've joined. I have to at least get noticed. That's the first thing I have to do. So I realized that what is the different thing which I'm doing here? If a research is given, there are 10 different people sitting who are your competitors. All of them are good researchers. Most of them would be. They're coming from good colleges. They have good backup of knowing how to find things. So they will know. So there is nothing new which you are going to fulfill in terms of expectation. So I got this case which was on medical negligence. I had to research on it, and my senior was representing the doctor before the Supreme Court of India. Okay, and that was so special for me that I can still remember the name of the disease. The disease was called retinopathy of prematurity, on which some certain things were done by the doctor, which was questioned by the parent of the patient, and ultimately a suit was filed. It initially, initially it was tried before the state forums and the national consumer forums, and then eventually it went to Supreme Court of India. So I was given ample time for that research. So I read everything possible about medical negligence cases in India and abroad, and everything which has developed as a jurisdiction and the developing part of jurisprudence and developing jurisprudence with regard to the medical negligence. That's done. And after that, I started reading about the disease. I actually read the American journals and Indian journals on that particular disease, and whatever information, possible information was there on the internet. That what is this? What are the procedures required if you have to operate? So I actually studied like a medical student rather than being a lawyer. Come to this day when this conference was there with regard to this medical negligence case, and he had actually invited few of the doctors from Fortis to kind of get an understanding about what is this disease so that he can make a representation before the Supreme Court of India. So I went inside the room. My senior did not even know my name. So he just told me that come with the file. Who is working on this medical negligence? Come with the file. And since he did not know, he did not even care to introduce me. That is also fine as an intern. Again, he does not have time. So all these expectations are futile from him. So I was sitting with the file in that conference hall of his chamber, and then the doctor spoke for 15 minutes, and then I sought permission of my senior, saying that, "Sir, I want to say something if you permit." And he said, "What is it?" With definitely a grumpy face and a lot of this thing on his face. So I said, "Oh, your client is not putting correct facts in front of you, sir." He said, "Why do you say so?" So I explained him in the disease in a layman's language. Okay. And then I told him that the procedure which he has applied, it was prescribed about 5 years, was obsolete about 5 years ago. There are 3 different volumes during these 3 years which prescribe such procedure, because the chances of the fault which this doctor has committed was high. So he's like, this is new fact. This is not there in the any of this thing. Then he asked the doctor, "Is he right?" One of the doctors from the Fortis said, "Yes, he is right." Then he said, "The entire fact changes. How do we go about it?" Then I said that, "Sir, I have these and these judgments which are applicable on these and these facts. In my opinion, we have to take this approach to get into the core of it." While I was talking, he asked his clerk that what is his name. So then at that point in time, I got noticed. That was my first try. Okay. And then he was very happy. After that, I did the entire research on that medical negligence case. And apart from that, several other cases. And I was his personal first go-to intern in that place. So, and after that, when I was leaving, he said, "My office is always open for you. If you want, I can give you a written offer right now. Come whenever you graduate." Okay, so that's how I earned my first offer in my career. So it's very important when you intern, you have to figure out there's a huge competition out there in the market, and you have to get noticed. You can't confine yourself to the work given. You look beyond. First thing is that what is this work which I am assigned? Why is this work being done? What is the ultimate thing which the lawyer, the senior is expecting. Okay, what if I give it to him rather than him finding it out? For example, if you're doing simple due diligence or term sheet mapping in your for your banking finance team, and when your first task should be to understand what is a term sheet, why it is there in the place, what are the different things in that term sheet. Okay, you map it. First thing, you do the job given to you. Second thing, you have an understanding about that job. Just don't do your job basis the instruction, a pure robotic one. None of us like that. I mean, you will not get noticed. No, at the end of the day, you will be an intern, which is like several other interns interning with me. So that is very important that once you have taken a job, you understand what exactly it is, how what is the instruction, you go ahead and complete what is instructed to you, and also do further research and gain further knowledge in that work, so that when you are interacting with your senior, you have at least one thing to add as in terms of value which he was not expecting you at all, and there the magic lies to get the job secured. And we all like it once you have this plus one. Secondly, now what to do and what not to do in a job interview, because I think that was the topic which I was supposed to speak on. So in a job interview, first of all, prepare your resume very well. Draft your resume very well. That starts from that test. Don't write anything which you think that you will not be able to justify. That's very important. My first expectation from you, I mean, no matter what you have done in life, you would have had very good knowledge in constitution. You have written that I have worked on so and so constitutional matter. Then my first expectation from you is that in that particular area, at least you have all theoretical knowledge in place. I don't expect you to have practical knowledge. If you have practical knowledge, then that's a plus for me, but not my expectation. And if I figure out that you're not good at the theory of the subject matter which you have written in your resume, that's a complete no for me. I will not hire you. No matter you have done 10 modes, no matter you have made several presentations, no matter you have like designed your CV in a way that it looks very attractive. So that's the first expectation, that draft your resume very properly. Don't write anything which you will not be able to justify. Okay, because the recruiter is not going to look beyond. Don't expect that if you're going to join my team, so I will ask you straightforward banking and finance questions. Because I know that if you have not studied it, if you have not pursued it as an interest, you might not know about the subject matter. But I would definitely expect you to know about the subject matters at least, which you have written in your resume. And basis that the judgment with regard to your job inside my firm will be taken. Second thing, when you're appearing in an interview, there there are several kinds of questions. First of all, I'll tell you from my own experiences when I interview candidates. Then what are the things which is a complete no-go for me, and what are the things I really like? Okay. At times I don't expect an answer from you. Okay. So say for example, I have asked 10 questions and you have answered 4 out of those 10 questions, which were on basic, and 6 questions were say on next level of things. Then perhaps I was expecting an attempt, not in a fashion that if you don't know and you're still attempting, you have to say that I don't know about it, but I believe that this is going to be this. So that's a kind of thing, an impression you build upon your interviewer, that first of all, by if you attempt it wrongly, then the presumption goes. For example, I've asked you that what are the essentials of the contract. You don't know what the hell those essentials are. You say it wrong just because of the reason that you have to say something in an interview. The thing which you're projecting before the interviewer is that you are an idiot. You don't know anything. Okay, and I will say whatever I want to, and I can get away with it. So that is not like if your interviewer is asking a question, he definitely knows an answer, right? So giving a wrong answer is actually something which you insult, which is kind of insulting for an interviewer. So rather than doing that, the best way out is that you say that I don't know, that is appreciated, and take an attempt in answering that question. That's a plus one for you. Second thing, at times you're asked about your hobbies and interests. And one question which I often ask the candidates who I interview is that I have seen your CV. Now, say for example, I am interacting with Akansha. So I would say, Akansha, I've seen your CV. I know what is there in the CV. Introduce me to the Akansha, which I don't know. Okay. Then you start by saying that, okay, as you start and building up the context that I have interest in these and these things. Again, coming back to your resume, that is not something. The idea, the opportunity in this question is to make a kind of connection with the interviewer. For example, you may talk about anything. You may talk about the fact that I grew up in so and so city. While growing up, I had so and so interest. I pursued this interest in this fashion. So you have all the opportunities to be a kind of comfortable with the interviewer, build a connection with the interviewer when these questions are asked. At the same time, show some positivity in those kind of questions. That whatever I have done so far, I mean, I was like a happy-go-lucky kind of person and all those things, so that it is reflected that the first thing which interviewer wants to see that you will be adaptable to the culture of the team which he has or not. So you are able to answer that question in this question of the interviewer, then nothing better than that. At least you have taken a +1 from the very start. Second thing which I feel is that it's okay to forget things. It's okay to be nervous. Okay, but it's not okay to lie. Be honest. Your resume is of half a page, doesn't make a difference if you are able to satisfy that you are trainable. And that's what we look for. If I'm hiring a candidate, first thing I would see that whether he's trainable or not. For being trainable, I would only need your basics to be in place. I would need your attitude to be positive. I would need your hunger to learn something new. So these are the things which I would be looking for. And whether you have logical sense of mind or not, whether you can logically arrive to a conclusion or not, because at the end of the day, law is nothing but logic. If you are able to satisfy a fact situation logically, then the law will revolve somewhere around that. That's a given fact. Obviously, there are some exceptions basis certain precedents we have learned, certain things which has happened in past. Those learnings we have incorporated in some kind of notification circular or amendment or in any form, whatever, in banking and finance sector specifically. That may not sound logical to you in the first place, but when you go to the history, you will see that, okay, fine, this is the backdrop on which this law was developed. Okay. So this is very important that how you can logically interpret things to basically get a research area at least for you, right? So these are the basic things which I wanted to talk about. I have nothing extra to say. With this, I would like to conclude. Any questions?
Thank you so much, sir. I think it was a very brainstorming session. I think, Kiran, the floor is open now for questions. I would also request Monica ma'am to come on screen. And the floor is open for questions, so you can unmute yourself and ask questions.
So I have a question. It's basically interconnected to all the three sessions. So I'm a JAG aspirant. I'm planning for giving my JAG upcoming year in 2023 initially. So, sir, as we all know that JAG has a specific age limit. So, is it better to give your JAG exam plus enroll for LLM, or just complete my JAG, like my attempts in JAG, and pursue for my LLM? Will it affect anyway in my CV, like the reflection that I gave through my CV? That was one of my point. And
it will not till the time you are able to justify that this is why what I wanted to do. See, it's always, as I said, it's always good to have an interest area. It's always good to try. You failed, that is also fine. You passed, that definitely is better. But if you are able to justify it positively, you can write n number of things in your resume. Nothing is bad. Trust me. If you're able to, for example, I had a lot of job changes in my career. I'll relate it to that. I was in ICICI hardly for 6 months, and it is not looked in a good fashion. That how I mean, you have worked in a place for 6 months. Then when an interview happens, what will you do? You would say that definitely the impression goes that you are just changing this job for money, or you did not like that workplace. And in an interview, you can't say that you did not like that workplace. That goes as a negative for you. And in an interview, you can't say that I am joining this place only because of the reason that I am expecting something higher. Right? So if that can be justified, if we have justified that in our past options, what you are doing is definitely justifiable. And in my view, it doesn't affect your resume if you are able to justify it positively.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask if the justification would still be there. Let's say I always wanted to go into litigation when I started studying law, and I did it till my third year and let's say till my seventh semester. But all of a sudden, after I studied corporate law, I generated an interest in that. Now I do not have any prior experience in like interning at a law firm. Now, what would happen, let's say, if I do an internship this year? Now, when I apply to a law firm, the first thing that comes is because I don't have any experience in my early initial days of my law career, law student career. So they are not giving me an internship right now. So how do I handle the entire thing and how do I reflect it in my CV?
Basis your experience. You have no experience in the field of law, first of all. Okay. So this expectation, as I said that in the first, I think few lines of my presentation now, that it's not an expectation from any law firm that you have an experience in a corporate subject matter or a non-corporate subject matter. Okay, the internship you get, if you're able, there are 2, 3 channels by way of which you get an internship. One is that your placement committee actually organizes that and you get an internship from that. In the law firm, you would, at least the law firms I have worked with, they always ask you for your choice. That's not based on your resume. Once you have gone there, HR would ask you for a choice. Then you can go to that firm. So the experience is not necessary for internships at least, and for jobs also. It's good to have in your resume. Definitely, that's a plus one. Okay, but again, the main expectation or the basic expectation of any lawyer is that your basics are in place. So pursue it. It's good to have different interests in different semesters. Maybe in your first semester you thought that law of contract is something which I want to have an interest on. In second semester you thought that okay, fine, I will not have any interest in the legal subject matter, but pol science is something which is very interesting for me. That's what is the college for. No? You explore different things, and in the process you will learn. In the process you will clear your basics.
Right, sir. Got it, sir. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, sir. Monica, ma'am, I had a question for you, ma'am. Ma'am, when we apply for any job or internship, when we give our CV, ma'am, what is the first thing that grabs the attention of the receiver when we give our CV?
Okay.
Like, what is
So very frankly, it really depends on what role you're applying for. For example, if I'm looking at an internship application, I would be looking firstly at your marks and previous internships. But if I'm looking for recruiting a person into my team, some with whom I would at least have 2 to 3 years of sort of a relationship, as I said, I would be looking into the objective. What kind of a statement are they making? What future aims do they have for themselves? And I would also said I would also want to know more about what kind of work you have done through like your LinkedIn profile, uh, these sort of stuff. I mean, yeah, definitely marks and other stuff like your previous internships, your moods, all of this definitely plays some sort of a role, irrespective of whether it's an internship or a job. But for a job, because at least I would want someone in my team who's there for at least 2 to 3 years, so that if I train them for 6 months, they stick with me for a given amount of time, so that we both learn together and grow together. So in that cases, it really is very important that the kind of mindset, the growth kind of mindset that I have, or what kind of expectations the candidate has, that actually meets the kind of role that I'm hiring for. And I think that's the very specific reason why you cannot have a very generic objective statement. For example, if you're applying for an in-house position, the kind of an objective statement you would give would be very well different for a litigation specific role in a firm, or litigation specific role with a senior advocate. So that's also why you have to keep altering your objective statement depending on who you're applying to, which position, whether it's a long-term association, short-term association, like that.
Ma'am, adding on to that question, one
Yes.
small
Yes.
leap. Ma'am, will a person or student basically applying internship, will a student who has worked for many places during his internship periods, like a student usually gets his summer internship for 2 months, which is usually
Yeah.
at the end of every year. So, which looks much better, ma'am, if a student works in a specific period, specific place during his tenure of his degree, or in different places where he gets different knowledge or skill set from different other subjects or other genres. So which looks much better, like if he works in a specific area for his internship periods during his course of graduation or during his masters.
So I would always suggest that your first 4 years of law school, at least first 3 years at least, please do undertake a diverse internship, portfolio, so that you first of all, the candidate knows in his 5th year when he's applying. As I was saying, for example, if a candidate applies to my team in 5th year or just after graduation saying I want to do tax, and let's say he's already worked in multiple fields and he has decided I don't want to pursue it, and rather and if he has made a choice here, I would prefer that candidate more than someone who's worked only in tax, let's say from 3rd, 4th, 5th year, and is just saying that, okay, I'm going with the flow, I'm just going to stick to tax because I've just already done it. So I then probably I'll be more doubtful what happens 2 years later on. What will happen to the candidate? I mean, to the student, would he want to diversify? Would he want to do what? So my personal suggestion would always be, in your first 3 to 4 years of your law school, get a diverse experience, intern everywhere. As I said, I would always ask people to get public policy internships or heavy research based internships, some sort of internships where you have an academic bent, and also try 1 or 2 times litigation internships, and also 1 or 2 times corporate internships, so that from this, by the time you are reaching your 7th semester or 8th semester, you are in a position, given a lot of other factors, your personal factors, city preferences, and other preferences that you have developed through the course of your internships, so that you will be able to pinpoint those 2 or 3 sectors finally where you want to apply post your 8th semester or 9th semester, and then start interning there. So once I think you're in after your 7th or 8th semester, stick to a particular field. For example, you want to find someone in Delhi. For example, you've decided on your location, so you want to come to Delhi. Now in Delhi, you think you want to go to the High Court, you want to work with district courts, or if you want to stick to your hometown. After you come to these decisions in those specific areas, then you do long-term internships of 2 months or 3 months, as much as possible, so that you have now finally made your pick. Now people who are hiring you also, when you want to talk to them and you want to explain them, see, I have tried all of this and this is what I have made a reasonable choice. This is my decision and this is what I like. So it's just a lot more easier for the candidate to convince the other person that, this is why I have picked it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kiran, are there any more questions?
I'm just waiting for a few. If the students give few questions, I'll put it through. So a few minutes. Not a problem. I guess I have one more question, sir, if you don't mind. Yeah. Just from Kunal, sir, one question, sir.
Hello, you're audible. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Kunal, sir, when we apply for any job, So you already have the CV. Hypothetically, I'm just saying you have the CV. So, sir, when the applicant comes to you, what is the first thing that you look or what you are desire to find out from the student or from the applicant, apart from the CV, sir? Like what you look after in the interviews?
Few skills I look for. First of all, basic understanding of laws. Second thing, good interpretation skill. Third thing, positive attitude. Fourth thing, team player. Fifth thing, adaptability.
Thank you, sir. So I guess these are the questions, sir, from the students. No question coming up yet.
Right, perfect. Thank you so much, sir, for joining here with us today. Thank you so much, Monica, ma'am. On behalf of the entire team of School of Law, Presidency University, and Law Essentials, I extend my heartfelt gratitude for everyone who joined this session. It was a pleasure to have all of you on board and to take this session. Thank you so much. And if anybody has anything to add on, please feel free.
Sir,
Thank you for having. Thank you.
as we are coming to the end of the session, sir, just one quote that comes to my mind is, hard work compounds like interest, and earlier you do it, the more time you have to benefit to pay off. It gives me immense pleasure here to deliver this vote of thanks to all the dignitaries, Sir Satya Desai Kunal, Ma'am Monica Kasturi, Mohammed Farhan sir, and I would like also to thank Farhan sir and Jasleen Kaur ma'am from Law Essentials for providing and sparing a part of their valuable time to mold our great future. I would also like to thank our Dean Sir, Dr. Sandeep S. Desai, our HOD Sir, Dr. Tufail Ahmed Sir, and our all respected faculty members who have organized this workshop for us. Last but not the least, I would also like to thank all the students that are present here. Thank you all.
May I add one thing?
Yes, sir. Sure.
I think it is our bounden duty to thank you, Kiran. You have been moderating, and arranging this program quite efficiently and effectively. And I am sure that you have been instrumental in talking to all these distinguished speakers. I'm sure you will keep up with them. And Mr. Farhan, Mr. Satyadarshi, Ms. Monica, and Ms. Jasleen, we request your continued support and help to us. We are also a budding nascent department. I'm sure you will be able to help us grow in multiple dimensions and designs. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, to all of you. Thanks for your kind support.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Kiran. Thanks.
Thank you.